Yesterday, I made a video about inventing a new communication medium to help us weather and navigate the shit show which is unfolding all around us as we speak, and which every day seems to be getting worse. This video is about why I think we should be doing that. It starts out doom and gloom, and it winds up being optimistic. Okay, the doom and gloom. I think what we're suffering from now is something like a collapse of narrative. The stories that we tell our kids to give them a sense of direction as to what to do with their lives no longer work. Work no longer works, and the kids know it. The kids aren't stupid. In fact, I think they're probably less stupid in this context than quite a lot of the adults who are still saying work will set you free. Well, no, obviously it's not doing that now, is it? So there is a narrative collapse, and that is due in large part to encroaching chaos. Tsunamis of change which are headed this way, and there are about 8 of them that I can think of, and there are probably more, but I'll go with 8. The first and most tedious one is climate change. Right now it is the middle of summer in New Zealand. Out there it is about 19.5 degrees. It's the morning, it's still quite cool. 19.5 degrees, and that is the same temperature that Iceland was on New Year's Eve. 19.5 degrees. They get 5 hours sunlight a day, and in the middle of winter, they're the same temperature as New Zealand in the middle of summer. That is fucked up. Holy hell. What the fuck? I know people who have already shifted country because they got frightened by fires. This shit is real, and it's happening now, and if you're not including it in your projections or your advice to give to people, then you are just lying to them. Full stop. Another one is demographic. Yeah, we'll start with demographic change. We're not having enough kids to keep our economies going, which means we need to import people. And while I actually happen to quite like the people that we are importing, a lot of people don't, and it's not very good for the countries that they are being imported from, this sort of brain drain situation. You know, it's not, I mean, I think people should be able to come and go whether they like, but having massive demographic shifts, that has always caused problems in the past, and it's causing problems now, and it's being used as the blame for other problems that we've got now, and it's destabilizing, and I think we need to have a way of talking about that, you know, because at the moment we don't. Okay, demographic change. There's ecological collapses going on all over the place. When I was a kid, if you left a porch light on outside, within about 5 minutes, you'd get about 1 million moths and miscellaneous insects all kind of milling about. And today you'd be lucky to get 2. We need those insects to pollinate the flowers to keep everything else going. And, you know, and the insect thing is, that's just one version, you know, where there's collapse of fisheries, there's collapse of nutrients in our food supply. You know, industrial farming takes all the nutrients out of the soil and it puts 3 back. And that's showing up in our food supply, and, you know, we are less healthy as a result. AI is fucking us up from 2 different directions at the same time. I used to read 3 or 4 books a week. If I was feeling dedicated, I could read 2 a day. Today, I have an attention span of about 1.5 minutes. I can't get through a pop song without getting bored of it. And I know I'm not the only one, and I think it's really serious. I think internet addiction is a really, really, really big problem. And we don't have a way of talking, but one of the only ways we've got of talking about it is via the mediums that are causing the problem in the first place. So that's another reason to, create another communication medium. AI is also coming at us in terms of our shared understanding of what the truth is, and that is going to get worse fast due to deep fakes. The entire system is set up for surveillance and behaviour modification and addiction and isolation, and we can't even agree what's true anymore. And the only way we did have, video and photographs, that's going out the window. You can't tell if a photograph's AI generated now, really. And we need, what we need is a communication medium which is not mediated by the AIs of Nazi billionaires. Which seems obvious enough, doesn't it? But, so there's those. The American empire is collapsing. As empires always do. For some reason, about a third of Americans thought it would be a good idea to elect a senile, narcissistic, Nazi sex offender. And that is going about as well as you might imagine. He is threatening to attack Europe. And the people who own the broadcast media and the social media are all on his side. We don't actually have a way of talking about this without them being involved. So there's that. I think we're headed for a crash. We're headed for another economic crash, because that is what capitalism does. Every 5, 6, 7 years, there is a crash. And I think this one is going to be a particularly bad one, because due in part to the exponentially gigantic sums that are involved, and due in part to the way our currencies work, they are lent into existence at about 1% interest, which means that if your GDP isn't growing by about 3%, your currency becomes worthless. It's an exponential necessity, basically. The way we've designed our currencies means we have an inbuilt exponential necessity to grow. Unfortunately, GDP has a linear relationship with resource use, and we are running out of resources. 3% means GDP has to double every 23 years. We've already passed the last doubling we can possibly do. We are hitting the walls. Which leads us to fascism, the default political configuration that seems to be emerging from all this is fascism. And the reason that is happening is because the billionaires who are causing all of this are forming their tried and true temporary alliance with people who can be persuaded that the problem is immigrants or gay people or whatever, people who are not causing the problem can be scapegoated. So those are the doom and glooms. I got to get a glass of water. Stay there. Okay, so those are the doom and glooms. On a more positive note, all of that emergent chaos provides us with an incredible opportunity. It is rarer than once in a generation. It is once in 100 years, possibly once in 1,000 years. It's a big one. We have a huge opportunity to build something that actually works, for us. And I think that is incredible. Last time there was an opportunity of a smaller but similar kind of sort of deal was 2008, when the criminal banks caused a global housing crash. We had an opportunity there to do something different, and we didn't do it because we didn't know what to do. We weren't prepared. We didn't know there was even a possibility of doing that. So what wound up happening is the criminals that caused the problem wound up being given trillions of dollars. that we printed and we are still printing, and that they have put that into rent-seeking assets. And here we are. Our kids can't afford houses because we keep giving money to rich people. We have an opportunity to do something different. And to do that, we need a different way of talking about what to do. Because the way things are set up at the moment, it's like, the legacy media and social media are owned by the people who are causing the problem. And to the best of their abilities, they severely limit what we are able to talk about. So, say we've got like an alphabet of 26 letters, we only talk about A and B. And inside a generation, a lot of people think those are the only possibilities. For example, I get into discussions quite a lot with people over the housing market, and a hell of a lot of people think that the only two possibilities are buying or renting. And that is simply not true. But that's what we've been led to believe, and that's, become a reality for a lot of people. We have got chaos up ahead so big that we have the opportunity to ask ourselves, do we actually want landlords? Do we want to be allocating land via a housing market at all? Because the way we're doing it at the moment is fucking insane. In New Zealand, if you want to buy a house, it's going to cost about $1 million. For an average person to afford that, you're going to need something like a 30-year mortgage, which means not only are you paying $1 million for a house, which is already an insane amount of money, you're also giving $1 million to a bank, a foreign bank, for what? For fucking sitting there doing nothing as interest on the loan. Does anybody actually think that's a good idea? Because I fucking don't. I think that's fucking stupid. And in New Zealand, if you are an average person saving for a deposit for an average house, it will take 10 years to save that up, during which time you will have given $250,000 to a landlord for sitting there doing fuck all. Who thinks that's a good idea? I don't think that's a good idea. I think that's completely stupid. And I think we need to invent a way of talking about that which doesn't involve the people who are causing all of our problems. We need to think, outside the box of A and B. There are other possibilities that we could be doing. And I don't want to be the only person thinking or talking about this, but if we invent a new sort of communication medium, I think some of the senses of direction for it should be the following. I'd like to start at 0, but I'm a computer programmer. Most people start at 1. I like to start at 0. The most important thing is we need to stop the bleeding. If you're in a chaotic situation, your number one priority is to stop the bleeding. And to do that, we need to know where the bleeding actually is. A hell of a lot of us are getting really badly hurt right now. I come from 2 countries. One of them is the UK, and the Tory government in the space of about 7 years killed 330,000 of us via their austerity programs. And we didn't know it was going on, really, If we had face-to-face connection with people that was happening to, we would not let it happen. We need to stop the bleeding. Next thing is, we need to stop the bleeding, and to do that, we need situational awareness. We need to get a lot better at knowing how we're getting on as people. The next one is we need to be doing experiments, and it needs to be an experiment in resilience. We need to become more resilient because it's chaotic up ahead. We don't know what's going to happen. We need to be adaptable. We need to survive. If we don't survive, then we're history. That's it. Another one that I think is really important is freedom. We need to be optimizing for freedom. And I think that's something that we can all agree on, even though everybody's got a different opinion about what freedom actually means. I think as a baseline, that is good. I can't find a fault with that. And as an anarchist, whenever there is a fork in the road, choose the path that offers the most freedom. I think that works. Another one is that I think we need to be doing something that we're actually proud of. Sounds simple enough, doesn't it? The way our governments are behaving right now is fucking shameful. They are a fucking disgrace. When was the last time you felt proud of your country because of what your government was doing? I can't remember. They're a bunch of fucking cunts. Fuck them. We need to be doing something that we are actually proud of. Seriously. I think we need a shared sense of purpose. It's a whole lot easier if we kind of share a sense of direction, even though it's got lots of little different kind of eddies and paths and subroutines or whatever. A shared sense of a shared sense of purpose would be good. I think we need a shared sense of what is true. The number one on-ramp to fascism is destruction of truth. Fascism does not start with violence. Fascism starts with lies. And we are seeing that right now big time. And it is coming from the communication medium owned by these billionaires. And they're doing it deliberately. We need a shared sense of truth. And the last one, which I'd actually say is possibly the most important one, though other people might think otherwise, is whatever we do, I think it needs to be a fuck ton of fun. I think we need, whatever it is we do, it's got to be fucking fun doing it. It has got to be about curiosity and originality and, having an excellent life. Because if we're not doing that, what are we doing? It's got to be something that people actually enjoy doing. They look forward to doing it. They want to do. So have fun. And that's possibly enough from me. That's a kind of a brain dump as to the whys of creating a new communication medium. Next video, I'll try and talk a little bit about what I think that possibly might look like, but it will always be a work in progress. There you go. If you've lasted this long, I'm sorry. Thank you.